Hi guys, and welcome to part 5 of the Building Newcrest series. So in today's episode, we are actually building a motel. So I've built a motel before in The Sims, but again, I've never actually uploaded it to, I uploaded it to the gallery, but I haven't uploaded the footage. And that's because the hotel itself wasn't that interesting, but also back when I built the motels originally, you can actually really use them as they were kind of intended for. You kind of had to just use them as either community lots or just one big residential house, which is not really what I wanted for this build. I actually wanted it to be as close to a functioning hotel as I could, and actually with The Sims 4 for rent, you can almost do that. So basically you can have, the whole idea of this, I've got the game running in the background, so you will actually hear a little bit of Sims 4 come through, which you just heard there. But essentially this house, this hotel, when you download the world, there will be 2 Sims living in it. The first one is a member of the Bell family by the name Tamara Bell. So the Bell family, if you don't know who they are, they're actually the parents live in the Art Deco apartments, but one of the kids has actually decided to move out because they just had enough of living with them, so they moved into this hotel. And then there's you also have another Sim that's moved in, which is Ember Watt. She is kind of like she likes to go out at night, do her thing, all that usual fun stuff that young Sims would like to do. But yeah, so basically, getting back to the point of the build, so it functions as a rental lot, so it's actually pretty affordable. If I remember rightly, like each rental lot is easily starter home, like each unit anyway. But each unit is literally just a bedroom. There's kind of like a kitchenette in it, but in general, like you basically have a bed, you have a basic kitchen, but you do not have an oven. You just have a microwave and a small fridge. You have a dining table, you have a TV, you have a wardrobe, you have a bathroom. There is also laundry facilities on site, games facilities on site, and then there's like a communal kitchen, living area, which is actually quite fun. So your Sim's always going to have people to meet. But the whole purpose of this lot really is it just looked really cool on the corner lot. I just thought it was a realistic build to have in the world. But secondly, if you are playing the for rent expansion pack and you want a build that is pre-built that you can rent out units to other Sims in the world, then this is a great one to add to your portfolio. But if you're not going to play that, then it is a great place to start your Sim off in as just like a motel. Because it is a motel, all the rooms are pretty much exactly the same inside in terms of theming. There are a few rooms with some slight differences, personal touches here and there, but in general each room is the same. Now this build itself is actually inspired again from Grand Theft Auto, this time Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's actually based loosely off one of the motels in that game, which is a hotel in Los Santos, and it's on like the corner lot. That one in Los Santos does actually have a small swimming pool, however I did not include that in this build. But what you do get in this build is an enterable interior, which you don't get in the game. But I guess the most iconic feature of that build in the Los Santos version of this build and the GTA 5 version of this motel is that roof that kind of has those arches in it. That is kind of like the main thing that I was going for. I just thought it was a nice architectural detail. Now, I'm actually a big fan of this style of architecture. It's quite basic, but it actually is quite functional, which is why I like it. I'm not the biggest... I don't know, I know it's probably not the most popular style, but I quite like it. I think it looks quite relaxing to live in, actually. I think it looks quite fun. It certainly would be if I was looking at a motel by the beach, and it looks quite cost effective, quite budget friendly really. But as you can see right now, we're just doing the interior layouts and adding the doors on the exterior. So because there's no internal hallways, what I mean by that, there's no internal hallway access to the rooms. This lot functions pretty perfectly, and because there's only one entrance to each unit, it's really easy to use for gameplay. So it just works quite well. There is quite a lot of changes that happen, you'll see throughout the build. but you have got a skylight in the corner. That's like the main entrance area. And then the windows, they are pretty small, but actually it's a motel. So when I looked online at other reference images as well, including the one on GTA, the windows in that build are actually quite small as well. So I think the whole place actually comes out quite well. I do add quite a lot of colour, especially to the top roof trim, which I think actually I was pretty pleased with the result. It's not something that I often do, and when I've done such things in the past, I don't really like the result. But I have to say, in this instance, it actually came out quite well. But yeah, this is the 5th installment of the series. So the video that would have just been uploaded before this one was actually the voice recorder. The voiceover is being recorded on the same day, within about 2 hours of each other. But these builds were built almost like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago in some instances. It's just I haven't had the time to actually do the voiceovers, but I've had time to do the builds. Yeah, as you can see, it took a while to decide what windows to use in this corner here. In the end, I decided just to go for the big windows, and it actually looks quite good because from the interior, this is just a big open space anyway. So this is almost like the lobby to the motel, and I think it works quite well, especially from the front. It kind of it makes it look more interesting, and then on the back you've got more space. So you'll see there's kind of like 2 buildings here that are connected by that arched roof. So the smaller building is actually a laundrette or laundromat. Again, it's not really functional for other sims, but it works for if you're living in the motel. And you've got a big car park out the back, which obviously isn't functional, but there is some activities that I've placed in it. And then above the laundrette is where you have the kind of like, it's basically like a bar, but only sims that staying in the motel can actually use it. You can't just walk it off the street and use it. Well, actually, I think you can, but if you do that, you won't get it won't be frequented by other sims. Apart from, I think, the sims that actually live in the block, but you wouldn't just get random townies come off the street to utilise the communal spaces, because technically them communal spaces are for the people that live in the apartment blocks, which is fair enough. But yeah, as I say, it's actually a lot of fun building motels in this game, and I'm actually really happy with this. I think motels, they work really well on corner lots. And the interesting thing is, being in the UK, motels are just something you don't get really. Like, you get hotels on the motorway and things like that, but you just don't really get these kind of like small motels. There probably is one or two out there, but there's none that I'm aware of. And I know when I've been to America, you actually get quite a lot of these, which is quite cool. So the furniture that we're using in the motel, we're actually using a debug dining set there. So that is actually, I believe it came with Eco Lifestyle, and the reason I chose that one specifically is it fit the theme really well, but also each table and chair is like 20 simoleons, so it's actually really cheap. And the reason I wanted this place to be pretty cheap, like I wanted it to be cheap, but I wanted it to have decent furniture. So it's not got like the worst bed in the game, it's not got the worst appliances really. So it's like basic, but it's actually quite affordable. So if you did want to invest into this as a sim and buy the whole building and then let out each individual apartment and be the landlord, it's actually quite cost effective to do it. So yeah, that's why I chose the furniture that I did. But yeah, you can see we're building like the communal bar area here. You'll see like a theme of those red sofas, the one with like the log cabin style. The beds in the hotel rooms will also be pretty much identical in terms of they're part of the same set. Obviously one's a bed, one's a sofa, but they look very similar in terms of their design because they are the same design. Just one is shaped as a bed, one is shaped as a sofa. And then add in like this really kind of old-fashioned red wallpaper and carpet, but I actually think it weirdly works quite well because I'm building a world here. It's supposed to have different styles, different features, so I personally probably wouldn't want to live in this kind of style, but at the same time it makes the world more dynamic, it makes the world more immersive, and it just makes the world more interesting, because if I built everything to a style that I like, everything would look very similar and it wouldn't be that nice, I don't think. I think it would actually get quite boring. So to liven it up a bit, everything's got a different style. There's also some communal toilets in this build, but each apartment unit does have its own bathroom as well. So if it gets confusing, the reason why I call it apartment units, even though it's a motel, is because the game treats them as apartment units that you can rent out for 1 day, 10 days, pretty much as long as you like. And it's not actually a functioning hotel, there's no reception desk. It's very much an apartment block, but it is themed as a motel. But I think it works quite well. And, yeah, I think it's a great place. So like when you first move into the world, if you want to start your sim up in here, it's a great place to start with the sim because it's got everything you need. It's a great place to meet new sims, and also you're not really spending much money. I think the rental, if I'm right, the rental is actually really good value. Let me actually find out what the rental is. So the lot values, each apartment build itself, including furniture, is about just under 9,000 simoleons, which is actually really good when you account the quality of the furniture. But that equates to a rental value, so let me just check that. We'll have to go back into the game and check the rental value. I believe the rental value is, I think it's 48 simoleons a day, or is it 48 simoleons a week? Either way it works out so that even if you've got like a basic job, it's actually not too bad at all. So yeah, 48 simoleons per day with an upfront cost of 8,275 simoleons, which is really, really good. So if you're leasing that for 7 days at 48 simoleons, you're looking at about 350 simoleons for a week, which is very hard to get actually in the game. Yeah, I would definitely recommend this if you are downloading this world and you want to start off as a starter. This is a great place to start, and it'd be a really good place to do rags to riches as well, because if you didn't have a house, you could actually start with a basic lot, and once you finally get 48 simoleons, you would be able to afford to live here. And what I mean by it's actually got nice furniture and fixtures is the bathrooms and suites are actually pretty decent. And they've got the shower combo, which washes you very quickly, and if you play gameplay, you know that the kind of more expensive the item, the quicker it is going to be at either cleaning your sim, making your sim rest quicker, so their sleep decreases slower, or it increases their hunger faster. Those little things, but they make the difference. And if you click on the item, you can actually see what needs it's going to fulfill and how well they're going to fulfill them, which is pretty cool. And that's been in the game, I believe, since like The Sims 1. That's kind of like a foundation block of this game. The game wouldn't be what it is without that. I did originally want to put like little dressing rooms in these motel rooms, but in the end I got rid of them because I was basically stuck between, do we have a dressing room or do we have a living area? And whilst the dressing room is a cool idea, I think it's more practical to have a living area. And some of you might be wondering, why did I not just copy and paste each room across? And truthfully, it's because originally I was going to make each room a little bit different, but every time in my head I was thinking, what could I make different in each room? I couldn't actually think of anything, so in the end they all just end up being the same. And you get to see me build each individual room. I do sometimes forget as well that the copy room feature is a useful feature, but just bear in mind if you use it when you have move objects turned on, the move objects cheat, which allows you to place objects intersecting each other, that if you do use move objects on while using the copy and paste room feature, it could cause you quite a lot of issues in terms of you might accidentally be duplicating items without realizing it, such as you might think you've only got one door in a location, but you actually have 15 because you've duplicated the room 15 times. It's an interesting one. It's kind of one of them ones, once you play around with it, you'll understand it. But yeah, just doing some outside lights. I wanted to have like room numbers, but you can't really make that look good in The Sims, I don't think, so I just use those lights that are quite small, and you just have to imagine that the game hasn't got the graphics engine to cope with tiny writing, but in reality there would be little numbers. And then it took a while to decide. Well, actually it didn't take too long to decide on the colour, but I wanted to use like that stonework, and actually it worked really well with the, you'll see like on the on the roof, you have those like stone jut outs on the side, that's actually for signage. It ends up being pretty cool. And then I put air conditioning vents in each room as well, because why not? And And then along the front we've got a nice hedgerow. So basically this lot really blends in well to the street. So it really does feel like a kind of urban, or at least high street kind of town lot. So when I say high street, basically if you're not from the UK, you might be confused what a high street is. But essentially every town in the UK has a main street basically, which is where all the shops and the cafes and restaurants and things are. And we just call it a high street. So like my local high street has a name, and I'm sure pretty much every town in the UK, even the really small ones, they have like a high street or a main street. And I think it's probably the same, I know for my experience in America, it's the same, but they don't call it a high street. Maybe it's like a boulevard or something, I don't really know, to be fair, but they're just interested in a different terminology. Yeah, just add in the postal area, because if you don't add that, it can be a bit awkward. But yeah, I was going to try and put like a play area in the back, but then I thought this isn't really a family focused lot. This is actually more for like single sims to take their first step out, moving out really. Then yeah, this is the colours that I was talking about. So you've got these cool like red, blue, yellow colour scheme at the top. I think it looked really cool. Almost looks kind of like Italian-esque with those colour themes. Not sure why I think it's Italian, because I don't think those colours are all relevant to the Italian flag. But anyway, it just reminded me of Italy for some reason. And I've never been to Italy actually, but it reminds me of like an Italian restaurant maybe. Or at least a European one. But anyway, I just thought it looked cool. Thought it looked pretty cool. But yeah, there's actually pretty much that's the build done actually. So yeah, if you're enjoying this series, make sure you like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, I'm just going to hand over now to the screenshots, but thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.